We had just had a beautiful few weeks in the driftless area of Wisconsin, where I was born and raised. It was a wonderful time, filled with dear friends, sharing art and music with the schools I attended, sharing the beauty of the driftless landscape with José Luis, and even creating the music video to I Am the River, a deeply meaningful and personal song. Now it was time to say goodbye to the driftless and carry on with our journey, hitting the road once more. We are coming to the end of our time in the driftless. It's been an amazing trip, really special, really important in so many different ways. And so as a finishing touch, as we head on out, we're gonna take a little bit of it with us. And we got this from my alma mater as well. So, here we go. Now hashtag looking north. Should put it right there. Let's hit the road, Jack. So we were on our way back down to Chicago. We had just a few more close friends we wanted to see before heading onward to the East Coast.
First, we hosted a dinner in the bus for someone very special to me. When I first came to Chicago to study art at the Art Institute of Chicago, I didn't have a place to live in the city. Luckily, the summer before, I had been playing the saxophone in the streets of Istanbul, and I met Juliana. When she found out that I was going to study at the Art Institute of Chicago, she gave me the name and number of her friend in Chicago so that I will have at least one contact in the city. When I arrived in Chicago, Susan took me right in. Originally, I was going to stay with her only for a few days, but we got along so well that I ended up living there for a whole year, and we became like family. Susan is like a second mom to me. She's an interior designer with ties to SAIC, and so she really understood the world of art that I was entering into, and she was extremely supportive in my journey as an artist. So it was so wonderful to see Susan and also to connect with her friends. It was a great night. Then we moved the bus over to Cicero, one of the many beautiful neighborhoods of Chicago, to see my friends Clara and Irena. I met Clara and Irena on an airplane to Nicaragua back in 2014, and it turns out that at that time, Irena was a Spanish teacher at the Art Institute of Chicago, while I was also a student there. So we exchanged contact information, and I invited them to a small get-together to show them a little bit of the warm Nicaraguan hospitality. So we stayed friends ever since. Clara is the director of T.J. Masaryk Czech School, a language and cultural center deeply tied to Cicero's community and history. The history of the school stretches back to 1872, when a group of Bohemian immigrants came together to promote Czech language and culture classes in the Chicagoland area. These activities finally found a centralized home with the construction of this school in 1921. The school continues to be a central part of this community. It was so wonderful to spend a few days with Clara and her family, learning about the school and even trying some traditional Czech dishes.
Then we finally bid farewell to Chicago for good. Our next stop wasn't too far away, but it was a stop we had to make. If you've checked out our art, you know that we both find a lot of inspiration in the grunge and grit and history of abandoned spaces. You can see this in José's photography, in the footage he captures for our experimental films, even in the music videos we produce together. If it's falling apart, paint is peeling, and being there gives you a heavy sense of presence, of all the people and stories that took place there, we want to go there. And so we just had to stop in Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana used to be a booming, prosperous city. Its economy was tied to the steel industry. In fact, the town itself was founded in 1906 by the U.S. Steel Corporation. The rise of automation in the steel industry, as well as increasing overseas competition, eventually led to Gary's decline. In 1970, U.S. Steel employed 30,000 in Gary. By 1990, it had fallen to 6,000. On top of that, Gary experienced the crippling effects of white flight, in which the city's white population left in droves in the 60s and 70s. They had the means to follow the jobs and refused to live in integrated communities. Those without the means were left behind to suffer the effects of Gary's increasingly downward economic spiral. Such a rapid decline in employment and population led to the abandonment of a striking amount of community buildings and homes. As of 2013, a third of all the homes in Gary were unoccupied or abandoned. This is Horace Mann High School, a school with a lot of history and once a cornerstone of the neighborhood. It was opened in 1928 and graduated 75 classes of students in its lifetime. It shuttered in 2004 due to chronically low enrollment and budget deficits. Since then, it has been left to the elements. It's just crazy that there are places like this that have just been left to the elements. And we've been flying the drone, we've been getting some film shots for music videos. José's been getting so many photos. And this place is just like, we were talking about it, we said we could spend days in a place like this. Just so much you could do. I have a song called Footsteps on the Stone. The main line goes, "We are the people, we are the proles, we are the footsteps on the stone, the beat that runs this whole damn show." It's about how the working class is the true backbone of our societies, of our industries, of our world, and yet the least appreciated. The community of Gary gave so much to the economy of the USA and to the steel industry that it helped build, and yet the community came out holding the short end of the stick. It felt right that part of the Footsteps music video be filmed in this space.
For me, it was a huge feeling of disappointment to see so many things going to waste. Many things that in the place where I grew up, we could only dream of having them. Like a proper theater, a grand piano. In my hometown, there has never been a grand piano, and my town has existed since the 1700s. The closest thing we ever had to a grand piano was the church organ. And here are all these things that people in my country can only dream about, rotting away.
We then went to City Methodist Church, another community space that was once the largest Methodist church in the Midwest. In the 1950s, it boasted a congregation 3,000 strong. Like the rest of Gary, it fell victim to economic decline and the white flight of the 60s and 70s. By 1973, its congregation had shrunk to 300 and had soaring maintenance costs. It closed in 1975 and has been left there ever since. Given the church's history, we felt it was also a meaningful spot to film for Footsteps on the Stone. These few weeks of the journey were filled with beauty and ugliness. Seeing dear friends was such a joy. It also brought into perspective the needless misfortune that took place in Gary. How many happy reunions could be taking place in this beautiful city that never happened because of, frankly, the potent combination of greed and racism? You know, the most important thing is that we love one another, we take care of one another, and we recognize the contributions we all add to this life together. When we don't do that, eventually the walls around all of us will come crumbling down. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a like.
Subscribe to our channel.
Send us a comment below. And for exclusive content and a behind the scenes view of the Art We There Yet journey,
Join us on Patreon.
see you over on Patreon.